Hey traders, Raghee here, and in this premium video we're going to take a look at the crude oil market and talk about what kind of price action we're getting here as we're getting a pretty good little pullback. And this is a very shallow uptrend that we have. We've seen plenty of blue grab candles that have been sprinkled throughout the move higher. And the reason this is important and the reason I highlight this is because it lets you know that you do not want to be too what I call aggro. In other words, you don't want to be super aggressive on the buys because the market's willing to pull back a little deeper. And so we can see many times it's definitely spending a little bit more time at the bottom of the range. So we want to focus our trade on that bottom of the range. And so the first level that we were even interested in is basically right around 55 or the 55.05 level. After 55 comes 54, after 54 comes 53, and that is the first, second, and third level. This third level is what we call the conservative level. It's the one that's closest to the stop loss. In other words, it's the least amount of distance in terms of risk, right? And I think that's one that a lot of folks like to focus on. But I want to talk a little bit about the first level here today in this video. And we have a lot of first levels, or what we call aggro levels, whether that be the aggro in crude, whether that be the aggro in gas, whether that be an aggro level that we're shorting natty gas from or buying copper from. We have a lot of these aggro levels. And what I typically recommend to folks is to look at the underlying option, to look at the options chain and add an aggro or first level at that level that is not, that is it's not an ideal risk reward, it's a wider risk reward. More risk, less reward. Think about an option there. Now, the other thing too is when you see the blue grab candles, you might even want to forego the aggro, right? When do you know when not to be aggressive? That's really what we're talking about here. So the blue grab candles will be one indication. A shallow uptrend will be another indication. We have a couple different tools that we can use to identify the trend. One of them is the trade flag that we use. These are free tools for members. What we call this is the JT trend. In fact, a lot of these tools are created by members because I use these techniques so much. So if I've got a move higher, this is going to be green. If I've got a move lower, this is going to be red. And if I have more of a sideways market, lots of blue, you'll see this is red. This is yellow, kind of a yellow for neutral. Yellow tends to pop a little bit more on these black background charts. So there's a couple different cues there. Another thing we've been experimenting with is a grab candle or grab oriented trend line, automating trend lines in a way that's in line with the wave and the grab candles. So you can see I've got that running here. Another thing that I'll notice with these three lines, kind of a grab oriented set of automated trend lines, is if it's a very shallow line, you're going to notice there's not a lot of steepness to this. If it's a shallow line, it's also probably going to be sprinkled with lots of blue grab candles. It's not a really steep uptrend. What does a steep uptrend look like? We've seen there's a few of them out there. We can see some of these steep uptrends in things like the equity index contract. We saw steep uptrends in things like gold. So just think about that as well. Where are the steeper uptrends waiting on some of these charts, telling us we can be a little bit more aggressive? No blue grab candles, plenty of green, pretty decent steepness in the automated trend lines, and so I could be a little bit more aggressive in copper. So there are a lot of visual cues. So let's go back on over here to crude oil. With crude oil comes the opportunity to take a look at things like Chevron, take a look at things like Exxon, pullbacks in the XLE. So would I like a pullback in the XLE? By comparison, take a look at the quality of this trend on the XLE. Lots of blue, right? That's your visual cue. How easy is this? Now, even though we're printing a red grab candle now, did we know this was kind of a shallow uptrend? Think about the same visual cues that I just showed you with the underlying crude oil contract. Now, when I go back to Chevron here, look at the steepness. Look at the consistency of the green grab candles. When we go to Exxon, again, steepness, consistency of the green. So this is how I want to think about how committed I am to a trend, how aggressive do I want to get on the trend, all with very simple to recognize visual tools and cues. All right, so think about the quality and the structure of your trends. The grab candles are a free tool that I make available to everybody, as well as the wave and the propulsion dots, and these tools all do the same thing. So wanted to point this out in markets that I am bullish on, and I'll see you in the next update.